Today, we are facing a crisis of epidemic proportions. Over 8 million American children, some as young as 2 years old, are being given stimulant and antidepressant drugs to control hyperactivity.
The use of medication and the diagnosis of ADHD or ADD have skyrocketed in North America. For example, in 1990, there would have been about 100,000 scripts written in the state of Texas for stimulant medication for all children in that state. By 1997, the number of scripts had jumped up to somewhere around 800 or 900,000 scripts in the state of Texas.
As you know, public schools have big classes. He had 3 different teachers, and they kind of wanted me to put him on medication. So I didn't know what to do. I was at the end of my rope. He was getting in trouble every day. So I said, okay. They calmed him down for school, but I didn't like it. It changed him in the weirdest little ways. It made him act very strange. He started having all these little habits like lining things up and biting his nails, and his temper, he would get irritable, and I didn't like it at all. He lost weight because he didn't want to eat anymore. He would have a big problem going to sleep. And then the psychiatrist gave him some sleeping pills to take. And I tried it one time, and it just freaked me out.
These young people feel isolated and alone. They struggle in the public school system and fall between the cracks.
When Shannon was going to public school, she would hate to go to school. I had to coerce, persuade, sometimes carry her and put her in the car in order to get her to go to school.
They're told that they're incapable of learning. They're told a lot of different things that make them feel just terrible about themselves, and they feel as if they're failures. And too often, what I find is that the parents buy into what the school is saying because the experts are telling them that this is so. And that's what's really sad, because then the child has nobody in their corner.
In my old school, they didn't give a lot of opportunities like they do in Pima Academy. They just sat you down and gave you some work and left you alone. And it felt to me like I was being left out, like I was the invisible one in the class, and I was always being sat in the corner, and I didn't feel like I had the opportunity to be myself and like speak freely and be yourself at that school, and it aggravated me, and I had trouble concentrating because I had other things on my mind, because people called me stupid, people just made fun of me all the time. I hated it. And some teachers just like left me out, and
public schools have basically just belittled her and made her think she was stupid and that she couldn't do anything. She's actually had thoughts of suicide because of it.
Somebody with a learning disability in the mainstream schools doesn't really have a chance. And I would say that the vast majority of the students I've worked with, both in middle school and in high school, have just given up. Our kids are not being educated as they should be, in my opinion, because of the lack of funding. And there's really no lack of it, it's the abuse of it.
We have to find better solutions. There is no way to be sure of the long-term effects of psychiatric drugs on young children. The Pima Academy, a pioneer in this controversial field, is developing new ways to help children rebuild their self-esteem and become successful students without medication.
They were very much put down in public school. And so I wanted the children to have a lot of positive reinforcement, build up their self-esteem. And the way to do that is to just really praise when they do something right.
In this environment where we have a very small student-to-teacher ratio and we encourage the children to actively participate with us in the learning process, they not only feel safer, I think, and they tend to reach out, but we're able to reciprocate that.
The Pima Academy is organized along the ways that I would suggest that most classrooms or schools can be organized to abate the conditions of ADHD or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And that's part of the opportunity for engagement and reinforcement that exists as a kind of environment here at Pima Academy, which is very powerful.
Fun and learning don't really have to be mutually exclusive. My idea is that if you make it fun and educational at the same time, they will learn without even knowing they're learning and retain it a lot better. Anybody else want to try the backpack? By allowing them to fidget while they're at the desk without getting into trouble, and perhaps look out the window or doodle while they're working, we find that all these strategies help them to succeed very well in class and not be on medication if the parent just chooses to take them off it.
Many of these children had other learning disabilities that were not discovered until they came to the Pima Academy.
Incredibly, 25% of the children in this school have visual processing disorders. And just by the fact that we're helping them with some simple exercises to get their eyes functioning with their brain, they're just shooting up in academic performance. 2 of these children are children that were going to be held back in public school because they were supposedly so incapable of learning.
I'm seeing progression in how the educational system is working. This is a tremendous leap, in my opinion, because it lets the person work up to their ability and above it.
You can allow for individual differences, which is really what these students need to thrive. It's thinking outside the box, and these kids do a wonderful job when it comes to thinking outside the box.
Having Shannon in a school where she's nurtured will give her a reason to want to stay in school and continue to learn. It's a relief to see that she's actually being seen for who she is.
When he started the school, I was very nervous because I thought they wanted him to be on medication as well. And when I found out that he didn't have to be, I was very happy. He changed. I just noticed that he was less irritable. He was happy to come to school. He would ask me, you know, when are we going to school? And then he would be sad on the weekends because he couldn't go to school. And he started talking about his teachers and how he loved his teachers.
Lots of people have a different way of learning, so it's the same schedule for everybody, but different learning activities for every other student.
They just explain it so much that pretty much they describe it and anybody could understand it. Anybody. There's a child in the next room who has trouble learning and he sometimes squirms around, but he can concentrate. He knows, like, they focus him on one thing and he gets focused in on it.
I wake up in the morning and most of the time I actually want to come to school. I'm being challenged and I'm definitely learning.
Pima Academy is just teaching the kids that they're worthwhile human beings. They're pumping up their self-esteem. They're letting them do what they're capable of doing. My first teacher-parent conference with Cheyenne, they had just went out and purchased higher level books for her. It's just absolutely amazing to us. And we were very skeptical. And it's very difficult coming from structure into Pima Academy because our kids come home and they say, oh, we had so much fun and we were outside jumping on the trampoline. And you're like, well, okay, but what did you learn? They're just so enthusiastic about coming. We can't keep them home when they're sick. It's just incredibly different in an exciting way.
I said, I'm excited, I want to go to school. My mom was like, what did you say? And I just said, I really actually want to go to school. She goes, whoa. My mom and dad have seen an improvement. I used to get D's and F's, and now I'm getting A's and B's.
When I wake up in the morning,
My dad tells me to get ready, and I'm already ready because I get up in the morning because I want to go to school.
I could see a real change in him, and I'm so happy because even without medication, I thought there was no hope without medication, but there is.
As you walk around here and notice things, they are exactly the things that I would do in a clinical program for children. They're not expensive, they're not medicinal, but they're very powerful and therapeutic.
They come here and they're just wonderful. They behave well, they excel in school, they're motivated, and the fact that I am able to help these children attain what I believe to be their potential is just a wonderful feeling.
The Pima Academy is making a difference in these young lives and the lives of their families. They are building self-esteem, recognizing and harnessing their talents and energy, and all without medication.